What's up guys, my name is Dante and thank you very much for watching another video. Today I just wanted to take a second and recap the past two videos in order to give some more context to today. In the first video I explained my motivation for this channel, and that was to tell other people of this way of life that I found that enabled me to bring as much happiness as I wanted into my life. I think that can be so valuable for people to understand that it's not how much happiness the world will allow me to have or how much luck I have in my life. It's actually about how much happiness I will allow myself to have and what I'm willing to do to have that happiness. That was the first video. In the next video, the law of uncomfortability, I brought that up because I wanted to make it clear that any of the principles that I talk about take or require one thing, and that thing is open-mindedness. It's a spiritual principle that you may have heard of before, but it's so crucial to the development of happiness in someone's life. For example, I work with people individually, one-on-one, and some of these people have been practicing a way of living for 30 plus years sometimes. And so when I come into their life and try to explain this new way of living, it can be extremely uncomfortable. And I've only seen it work for people who maintain a certain level of open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is this idea in our head that even though it's something I've never practiced before, and in some cases something I've never heard of before, it may be right. Right? Instead of closed-mindedness, which is no matter what, I already know the best way to live. And right, this is where the uncomfortability comes into play, because that's a common thought. I know the best way to live because we associate best with comfortable. We know the most comfortable way to live. It's the way we've known our whole lives, the way we've been practicing for the longest amount of time. But is that the best? Now, I'm not saying I know the best way to live, but I'm saying that I see people practice the principles that I talk about, and I see their life change dramatically. So, with that being said, I'm happy to introduce the topic that if practiced with open-mindedness, or at least heard with open-mindedness and then practiced, is going to bring you more happiness today. It's not a matter of practicing this for years and years before we see results, or months even, or even weeks. We practice this for one day and we will see results. We practice it for a week and we'll see even more results. Eventually it'll become a habit, and you would not imagine a day without this principle. That's how my life is. I start out every day with a reminder of this principle, and then throughout that day I try as hard as I can to express this principle. So without any further ado, the name of this principle is gratitude, and it's something that if you live in Western society and you celebrate our, well, I won't say our, but you celebrate the traditional holidays, then you practice gratitude, usually around Thanksgiving. It's a time when society encourages us and reminds us that there's plenty of things to be thankful for. And it says this is the time of year that we really need to focus on being thankful. And it's so funny because that's a time of year where if you ask a lot of people, they'll tell you that's when I'm the happiest around the holidays. And it's like, some people will say the stress of providing presents because Christmas is around that time, but we're talking about something different. Those times when we are choosing to be around family and be thankful or grateful are the times when a lot of people will recognize as happiness. So, fast forward a little bit, Thanksgiving goes away, and this sort of gratitude, this culture of gratitude, kind of starts to decline, and we forget to remind each other to be grateful. Now, I don't know exactly why that is, and I won't speculate, but my point is that if we can maintain a level of gratitude throughout the whole year, we will maintain that level of happiness. For me, in my life, my happiness fluctuates based on a lot of things, but one major factor that affects it almost more than anything else is how willing I am to choose to be in gratitude. Now, every morning and the reason I look down is because my notebook's right there. Every morning I write down a gratitude list of just 10 things, around 10 things that I'm grateful for. And if you've never done it before, don't worry, because it'll take you 5 minutes. It doesn't matter what situation you are in life, there are things to be grateful for. And if we're open-minded enough to practice this, we will receive the benefits, invariably. Everyone who does this will. And so that's a great start for me, is writing down the list. And I've heard a lot of people say that that's all you have to do to practice gratitude. And I think, like I said, it is a great start. That's how I start off my day. But writing the list is just a way to remind me. And so here's the key to this principle. And this is the thing that, like I said, will change your life as far as happiness is concerned completely. I write down my list, and then what do? The first thing on that list every day is I'm grateful for my family. Now, that's a reminder for me to practice my gratitude throughout the day. And so how do I do that? How do I practice gratitude towards my family? Especially because I don't live with my family. My parents are about an hour and a half away. My brother is 3 hours away. So what do? I make it a point every morning to call one of my family members and tell them that I love them. And that expresses gratitude. So not only am I reminding myself that I'm very lucky, I'm very fortunate to have family, right? Because not everybody does. So not only am I writing that down, but I'm actually taking a moment to express through my actions the gratitude. That's the key right there. And so then I get this response all the time when we talk about this, or when I talk about this with people. So does that mean that every day I have to go down a list of 10 different things and express my gratitude for each one of them? And I used to respond in many different ways, but now I usually just say one thing, and that's, well, how happy do you want to be? Expressing my gratitude in one way will make me a little bit more happy, and expressing my gratitude in 2 ways will make me a little bit more happy than that. Eventually, it doesn't become a chore. Eventually, it becomes a habit, and I'll talk a lot about this with all these principles. The goal is to make them habits. Once they become habits, it takes less willpower to practice these principles. It's kind of like putting on your seatbelt. A lot of times I'll be driving down the road and not even not even think about how I put my seatbelt on or when I put it on. And that's how this practice becomes. But the crazy thing about this is that we still get that net gain of happiness. We still get the result, even though we didn't really focus too much willpower on practicing it. So with all these principles, the goal is to make them a habit. And how do we make habits? Well, that'll be a different video. But in short, we just continue to do it. We continue to do it until it just becomes part of our routine. And so that being said, it's like happiness, you've heard it before. I know most people have. Happiness is a way of life, but this is why. Because when your habits are oriented towards happiness, it becomes a part of your life. And so for this week, I would suggest to write down one thing. If you have a notebook or whatever, just one thing that you're grateful for a day. It should take you 5 seconds or less or more. Doesn't really matter. And practice and express that gratitude. Do that for a week. And comment your results down below, because I'm interested to see. It makes me so happy when someone's open-minded enough to try this and they get the result. And then when we go further and further down the line, they start to realize, oh my God, I can be as happy as I want. I can have as much happiness in my life as I've always wanted. So like I said, try that for a week. I promise you will be more happy. We'll see you guys next time.